To the town board meeting for March 23rd. I ask everybody to silence their cell phones. I ask everybody to please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'll ask for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you very much. This time, I would like to call on Nick Hugo for a presentation he would like to present on the reassessment process.
Hi everyone, Nick Hugo, I'm the assessor here for the town of Lewiston. I've heard there's a lot of misinformation on the internet as far as the reassessment is concerned. I just wanted to clear up some misgivings. Everybody received two pieces of paper at their home. One was the actual change of assessment. The other one was the important notice for questioning the reassessment. The one thing that I want to make very clear on the change of assessment paperwork, I seems to be a lot of people coming into my office. They're confusing their market value of 2025 with their assessed value. The market value has always been the same. It's the higher number. The level of assessment the state gives us on a yearly basis. This year we were dropped to 40%. That's why the reassessment was so important. The assessed value, the small number, is the amount that you're taxed off of. But that number has not been your assessment for the last 20 years. The market value number has been your reassessment, your assessed value number, your market value number. And then below that, you'll see the new market value number. Now, if you do the mathematics, it'll be a lot closer than the tiny 40% number. Number two, the reassessment is not to generate more tax revenue for the municipality. It's to make sure that the state gives us a 100% rating and the tax burden is shared where it is supposed to among the residents. If you disagree with your assessment, your new assessment, there are several outlets to dispute it. One, you have to get this done soon, is by March 31st by going to the Town of Lewiston prosgar.com website. Now that will put in an informal review with GAR Associates in which a human being will sit down, they'll look at your assessment. If a mistake was made, they'll make a quick adjustment, end of story. If you still don't agree with your assessment afterwards, on May 1st, I will start accepting applications for what's called a grievance. On May 26th, we have a board of Lewiston residents that are going to meet right here. You will state your case, give comps, reasons why you think your assessment should be what you think it is, and the review board will make a decision based on what you submit. Lastly, if anybody has any questions, problems, concerns, you can't handle filling it out on the internet, come see me. I will help you. I will walk you through it. I will help you fill out the application. We want everybody to make sure their properties are properly assessed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, like he said, you can come down and see him in the office and he can explain it. I know a lot of people have questions just going door to door for petition season, and they have a lot of questions, so thank you. Agenda approval. I need to amend the agenda for an executive session with attorney consultation.
Yep. No action to be taken.
No action, okay.
And then I would like to add for a vote for a public hearing for a local law number 3, which would be a local law imposing a moratorium on the establishment, construction, expansion, or operation of data centers, artificial intelligence processing facilities, and cryptocurrency mining operations within the town of Lewiston, United County, New York.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add to the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. I forgot to mention Bill Berg is on vacation and will not be attending tonight's meeting. Resident statements. I have Mark Gallo, 2345 Ridge Road.
So it's just my own?
Yep.
Okay, so, yes, it's just, discussed, my name is Mark Gallo. Full disclosure, I'm on the town planning board. I'm on the comprehensive master planning committee. So I want folks in the audience to recognize that. So, as we undergo this revision and then adoption of the new assessment, I want to make sure that we keep a few things in mind that can sometimes be easily missed. I, for one, am for 100% assessment. I think it's great. It really equalizes the playing field, which is what we want. And whenever everybody paying their fair share, right? I mean, that's what it's for. Because if somebody bought a house 40 years ago versus last month, there's a big difference in the value as far as the taxes are concerned. But my issue becomes what constitutes fair, and equal is not always the same as equitable. Lewiston is a robust community with multiple land uses, and all land is not created equal. And this should be reflected in the assessment, and this is where I wanted to speak today about that. And again, I'm amongst friends here. I'm on some of these committees. I understand what needs to be done, and I want to just make sure that this is up and clear so that everybody understands my perspective on this. So we understand about residential land, business land, other things like that, but there's other sorts of lands that we need to consider here. So we need farmland. I think our community is more robust when we have those sorts of things, and it helps our community and its structure. But it doesn't just end with farmland. We also need, and it's going to sound strange to some of you, marshland, wetland, grassland, and yes, forest land. We need all of those things. Those are all really important because the more of these sorts of things we have, this is kind of what I'm talking about, diversity in land. Yeah, it's a DUI and land, but the diversity in land really adds to our resilience as a community. So we need all of those sorts of things. But the question becomes, what's the assessed value of those sorts of land? Because if I'm running a business, like modern, what's my property worth? How does that compare to somebody who has like a designated wetland, where that property cannot be used for anything ever? So there's no inherent value as far as assessment is concerned to something like that. So I wanted to be sure that we understand that there are certain words that we use, what's fair, equitable, assessment, and what its value is. So value is really a funny word to use, and that's one that I want to make sure that we as a community think about when we really think about how we assess all of the properties on this. So I'm here as a minority speaker because I know there's not a lot of people that own a lot of land. And so in some ways that makes it sort of unusual because I'm here not just to talk for me, but I think for anybody that's a landowner. Because there's maybe an unequitable burden on individuals who do own land, especially land that we haven't developed. I mean, if I sit here and do this and say, what's this? It's a nut. I mean, is this an 85-year-old black walnut tree that's now worth, 1,000 board feet at $10, a board foot? It's not. And so my land and some pieces of land have no inherent value as far as assessment is concerned. They're not going to be used for anything. They don't use any resources. They don't use anything that the town provides. And I don't mean that in a bad sense, but I'm just saying that's what they are. Okay? It's very different than somebody's house or a business or something else that is using the resources of this community. And these things actually provide to this community, again, and I think that that's what we need to think about. There's this value that they provide for wildlife, for habitat for them, for carbon sequestration, preserving fresh water in this region, which again, the last few days maybe you didn't want that water, but it really does help for flood mitigation. And so, building topsoil, and yes, for moderating the climate, you do all these things. And yet the owner gets nothing in return other than being the person who holds that parcel. And again, I'm not saying that we're doing anything wrong, but I'm just saying we need to really think about how we assess these types of lands, these open lands. And so I want us to kind of, think about that as we go through this assessment process, okay? That's all. So I understand by law you can't charge different rates of assessment. When we go 100%, it's 100%. But how do you assess the value of that land? And that's what I'm thinking that we might have a little bit of a skewing here. That sometimes these larger parcels, I mean, should I be paying the same rate as an industrial complex that holds lots of acreage? And the answer to that should obviously be no. And so we have to think that where is the value of that land when it comes to assessment? That's all. I mean, I think that's a really important point that we need to make. Because we can't make it too costly to have green spaces, you know, for a person to own them. I mentioned farmland. A farmer can still make something off his land every year. Me, with that forest, I can't make a penny. I can't go in right now with a young forest and harvest anything. I can maybe, with this walnut, if I plant it today, 85 years from now, I might be able to take down one tree. Okay, so recognize that there's a different value to some of these things that maybe some other parcels have on them. And I think that has to be reflected in where we would put it. Now I know that I spoke with you the other day a little bit, and you were talking about like the potential. Well, the potential isn't there until a sale is made. I'm not going to be able to parcel off any of my land. I can't cut off and make subdivisions. I don't have enough road frontage. So I don't have any of that to do. Nor would I want to, even if I did. But the reality is there's nothing that this land will benefit me from a financial perspective. And so it behooves me as an individual to put in a Walmart or something, you know, if I wanted to try to get value out of this land. Because I'm sort of being disincentivized to leave it as green space. Clearly. And so you don't want to disincentivize enough people because things like that will happen. My land's big enough right now that if I wanted to, I could put in industrial solar and go. And at that point, the community can't stop it. It goes out of the hands of this community. That it goes about 5 megawatts at that point. It becomes a state issue. I don't want to see our community do that. So the way to protect us from having that happen is to make sure that people who are conscientious, who are stewards of their land, don't find themselves to find that incentive enticing enough to do that. That's it. And that's really what I'm after tonight, to just really make that something that is clear to board members and the community, that we have to think about our land use and utilization, and really to make the right incentives or disincentives in place to make sure that they remain that way. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to department head statements. Richard, anything from the clerk's office?
I just want to make note to everyone that the last day to pay your taxes is going to be March 31st. After that, they will be turned over to the county, and you will have to reach out to the Niagara County Treasurer to pay those, and there will be an increase in penalties on that. Also, if you're mailing them in to pay the taxes, if you still haven't done so, we will honor the postmark date, as long as it says they're postmarked and processed through the post office by March 31st.
Okay, thank you. Chief, anything?
Yeah, over the last few weeks, we had a couple nice nights, and we saw a return of some thefts, overnight thefts, so just putting a notice out to the community. They're opportunists, they're looking for open cars and cars that have their key fobs still in them. So we did have a couple cars that were stolen, but it is a result of leaving them open and leaving keys on them. So just asking for some assistance in protecting your property. Take your key fobs out, lock the cars. We are following up on some leads on that. We recovered one of the cars and there's some evidence that was in it. But with the nice weather comes those opportunities for thieves to be out in the middle of the night. Also, if you see anything suspicious, please call our office right away. If you have camera footage, it always helps, even if nothing was taken, but if they were up your driveway or checking cars, those things help.
Thanks. Jim, anything? No. Jackie, you're on the agenda. Conrad, anything?
No.
Mike?
We're just, with the nicer weather here, we're making a transition from snow plowing to now fixing roads. We're still waiting on Lafarge to get us a final price on blacktop for this year, so we can have a better idea and a list for you of what we're gonna be paving, micro paving, and so on. I would like to get permission from the board to deem a few pieces of equipment that we have as excess equipment and get those on Auctions International and sold off. First, we have a 1997 John Deere front wheel loader. As the last meeting, we just got approval to purchase a new one. We don't need 4 of them, so we're gonna get rid of our oldest. I also have a 2013 Volvo skid steer. It's an older piece of equipment. We have 3 of them right now. We don't need 3 of them. Go down to 2. And a 2008 Ford F-350. It's got 190,000 on it. It's fine.
I need the motion on that, options international.
The declared excess.
Yeah, we'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to declare excess a 1987 John Deere front loader, 2013 Volvo skid steer, and a 2008 Ford 350. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And now I think this to need a motion to put them out, list them on options.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else?
Yes, we are looking at purchasing a conveyor, a stacker for the salt farm. What that'll do is allow us to stack our salt higher, be able to hold more. We're looking at going in halves with a ton of Cambria on that, so we would endure only half the cost of it. It is a used piece of equipment. They found it on Facebook Marketplace. They've gone out, my mechanics have gone out, looked at it. It's in very good shape. This will also save us money in the long run. What we'll be able to do is just buy raw salt and have a gentleman come in and mix it for, I believe it's $25 a ton cheaper than what we're buying the pre-mix at. So at the beginning of the season, we'll be able to order a large amount of salt, have him come in, mix it, and stack it.
Seems like it'll be a single source purchase because it's gonna be a one-use item. And it's in conjunction with the county, did you say, or
Town of Cambria.
town of Cambria?
Okay.
I think you're okay.
What's the price on
The
it?
price of it is, it got it down to 29,000, so our half would be 14,500. And I did speak with Jackie, we do have our money in the equipment fund.
Where will it be stored?
It'll go back and forth between us, but mainly stored here, so they'll be the ones that insure it and what have it.
Is there an agreement between the two of you for any shared services or equipment?
Verbal, we can get written if need be.
Yeah,
I would imagine we should probably put something in writing, and I could, if this is approved, then I certainly would move forward and put something in writing.
so we'll make a motion to allow Lewiston to participate with the town of Cambria to purchase stacker, you call
Yeah,
it?
it's a conveyor, it's like a conveyor belt.
For the amount of 29,000, with the town of Lewiston paying 14,500, with contingent on a written contract between Cambria and Lewiston.
And I'll negotiate that with Cambria's town attorney.
Okay. That shouldn't be a tough problem. So can I get a motion for that?
Make the motion.
Motion a second. Any questions?
I got a question. When there's maintenance on this, how does that work? Say it needs $1,000 to repair and you figure it out and you write a check for
We would split the cost. It most likely is going to be us fixing it because we have an in-house mechanics and we have the ability to do so. So it would be a split cost of any maintenance done to it.
That would also
And that
be
would
a
be
subject that's included in the
I was
contract.
gonna say in the contract, do you have a projected cost savings?
I don't offhand. I can definitely figure that out and bring it to you next meeting.
Okay,
It's going to be right at the beginning of the season because as we get in with the season, it's tough to be able to order a large amount of untreated salt because we now need that treated salt in our barn, so we just order it then as the season.
okay, because you also had mentioned that it would be like $25 per
Yes.
ton
Yes.
savings approximate. About how much tonnage do we go through?
This year, I have to get you an exact number. We went through a lot this year.
Okay, I was gonna say, just like a rough estimate, so,
A lot.
so you would think that in the next 5 years, that investment would pay off itself?
Yes, absolutely. We're allotted, I forget what the number is, 127,000 ton. We went 30% over that this year.
Okay,
Just to give you a rough idea.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else? Anything from engineering?
Oh, pardon me.
You're on the agenda. Melinda, oh.
Yes. Hey, we had flower arranging today. We had 50 participants. That's always fun. We are going to have a speaker, Dr. Caritas, Dr. K from Roswell Dermatology. He's going to come and talk about skin cancer prevention. He does an honorary, he comes in every year and does that for us. And April 1st will be our Easter lunch, which you already need to sign up for. We're expecting 84 people. And that'll again be sponsored by the Lions Club.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Melinda.
You're welcome.
We have no meeting minutes. Abstract of claims, Councilwoman Wexler.
Yes, this is for March 23rd to 2026. I move to approve the regular abstract of claims. It would be 25-03721 through 25-03727 in the amount of $46,627.15. And then also 26-00581 through 26-00742 in the amount of $269,132.04. So I recommend the total payment in the amount of $315,759.19 and a post audit payment in the amount of $13,270.15.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I just want to correct one thing. It's 25-03720.
There's a correction raised from the
Yes.
it started up 3721.
Okay, so 3721 is correct. Okay, that's good. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Nothing under old pending business, nothing under new business. Under Supervisor Broderick, my liaison report. Last year, our NIPA agreement on, not the overall contract, but just on the relicensing with the sale of Niagara Power and Energy to the town of Lewiston expired. We hired an attorney. Every member of the host communities hired an attorney. There was a total of 7 attorneys. And the actual attorney for the host communities, which had 8 attorneys working on this, they were able to negotiate a new agreement, and we have that here. I will read it real quick. Approval of the renewal agreement for the sale of Niagara Power and Energy to the town of Lewiston. Whereas the town of Lewiston is a member of the Niagara Power Coalition, which negotiated with the New York Power Authority as a relicensing settlement partner of the Niagara Power Project. And whereas the NPC's membership consists of the 7 host communities of the Niagara Power Project, of which Niagara County, Niagara Wheatfield School District, Lewiston Porter School District are active members. And whereas as part of that relicensing process in 2005, NIPA offered and the host communities accepted a compensation package consisting of cash, land, and low-cost power for the 50-year term of the license under the host community relicensing settlement agreement addressing non-licensed terms and conditions. And whereas said HCRSA was executed by the town of Lewiston pursuant to motion of the town board of the town of Lewiston at a special meeting held on June 26, 2005, and by NIPA on July 27, 2005. And whereas pursuant to section 6.2 of the HCRSA, contract for sale of power and energy shall be negotiated. And whereas the sale of power and energy agreement negotiated and executed in May of 2007 had an expiration date of September 1st, 2025, with a clause that continued the existing agreement until a new agreement was reached. And whereas the renewal agreement negotiations resulted in an agreement to each of the 7 host communities that comprise the Niagara Power Coalition, which all are identical in provisions except as to the respective amount of each host community allocation of low-cost power provided under the HCRSA. And whereas the renewal agreement for the sale of the power and energy between the town of Lewiston and NIPA has been negotiated and placed in contract form, and whereas once the renewal agreements are approved and executed and approved by NYPA's trustees and submitted to the governor of the state of New York for approval pursuant to section 6.3 of the HCRSA and New York Public Authorities Law 1006. NYPA shall execute such agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lewiston approves this agreement and following their attorney's review and approval as to legal form, language, and compliance, the renewal agreement may be executed pursuant to the town of Lewiston contract policy, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Lewiston authorizes that following their attorney's review and only after the town board has approved and executed their renewal agreement, said agreement for the town of Lewiston may be executed pursuant to the town of Lewiston contract policy. So with that, that'll be a motion, resolution, that'll be a motion.
Second.
Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Also, we want to introduce Town of Lewiston, New York Local Law Number 2 of 2026, a local law modifying Chapter 360, Town of Lewiston Zoning Code. A copy of this will be available in the clerk's office, and it will be put on our website. It modifies several codes within the town of Lewiston, and we're introducing that today. And we need to schedule a public hearing.
Yes, for your next meeting, and if I may, Mr.
Go ahead.
Supervisor, as you mentioned, it modifies close to 20 different sections of the zoning code. These are kind of what we consider the low-hanging fruit between Mr. Moriel, Mr. Broderick, and Mr. Mathers and I were able to put this together to try to resolve some, what we seem to think are pretty obvious fixes in the code. But what I did notice as I was going through it, specifically on page 7 and 8 of the law, where it modifies section 360-185 in chapter 236, noise. There's no, I delineated each of the changes with a letter of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, if you will. We ended at R, section 360-185 should be S, and the noise chapter should be T, in which I will make those amendments. If I could have those amendments included in your motion, I'll make the amendments so that an appropriate version is on the website and available to the public.
Okay. So we don't need a motion or anything, we just need to schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, you're going to schedule a public hearing, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So I would ask for a motion to schedule a public hearing for April 13th at 6 p.m. on local law number 2 of 2026.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Finance, budget revisions.
Previously, I submitted budget revisions into your board packet, and tonight I asked for approval of those budget revisions.
I reviewed them with Jackie, and I'll make a motion that we accept them as presented.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. And our current 2-year service contract with USI is up for renewal. We utilize USI for our GASB 75 actuarial valuations of our retirement services. I'd like to have this contract renewed. It's been reviewed by our attorney, so I ask for approval to renew it as well as have the supervisor sign it.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'll make the motion for the supervisor to sign the contract.
Second. We have a motion second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Like I said, Councilman Berg is on vacation. Councilman Morial.
No, I have nothing tonight.
Councilman Myers.
Nothing done.
Councilwoman Wechter.
Yes, I have a seasonal labor hire. It is for Michael Game as the seasonal laborer for the senior center. It is a 6-month position, not to exceed 20 hours per week at a rate of $16.80 per hour. So I'd like to make that a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and the last thing I would like to do is I would like to schedule a public hearing for an introduction of local law number 3, which was as stated at the beginning of the meeting at the agenda approval amendment.
So we're introducing local law number 3 of the year 2026, and we need and that was a motion to schedule a public hearing for April 13th at 6
Yep,
p.m.
for the April 13th at 6 p.m.
And motion.
Well, she made the motion. You'll second it. Any more questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else? Nothing? Any resident statements? Nobody signed up more than one. Anybody have any resident statements? The young man from Newport, 2 guys from Newport want to explain why you're 20 minutes late? Okay. So, our executive session should take about 20 minutes. We'll clear you. So for all the students, when the meeting ends, you can just come up and we'll sign your forms. You want to make sure that Okay. So we have one more motion that needs to occur for myself to sign the NIPA agreement. So can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to go to make a motion to move to executive session with no action taken. So that basically ends the meeting. I would ask for a motion to move to executive session, consultation with the attorney.
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Come on up, guys, we'll sign your papers. Anybody can sign up. Deputy Conrad can sign them.